The Galactic Council chamber was designed to intimidate. It always had been. A floating cathedral of polished obsidian and living crystal, suspended above a gas giant whose storms were visible through the transparent floor. 43 species sat in concentric tiers, each seat adjusted for biology, temperature, gravity, and ego. Some delegates were armored, some bioluminescent, some surrounded by hovering translators that hummed like flies. At the very center stood a single podium. Empty. The council speaker, a six-limbed Caraxi matron whose species had conquered 12 systems without ever deploying infantry, clicked her mandibles sharply. "Let the record reflect," she announced, voice amplified through 1,000 translators, "that the Terran representative has arrived 3 cycles late." Again. A ripple of amusement spread across the chamber. One avian delegate leaned toward another. "They fear this place. Deathworlders always do. All that aggression fades when confronted with real power." Another laughed, a wet bubbling sound. "Their species fractures over borders, over beliefs. They cannot stomach total war. Not like us." The speaker raised a claw, silencing the room. "The agenda is simple," she continued. "The Terran Union has refused compliance with the Council's stabilization mandate. Their border fleets continue unauthorized expansion. Their colonies remain armed. Their people, mobilized." She paused, mandibles flexing in something close to disdain. "Humans claim they are defensive." Laughter again. The speaker leaned forward. "Let us be honest. Humans fear war. Their history is soaked in it. They know its cost. And like all frightened creatures, they posture." The central podium lit up. A single human figure appeared in hologram. Not a diplomat. Not a smiling negotiator. The chamber quieted, not out of respect, but curiosity. The man stood straight-backed, shoulders squared, hair iron gray and cropped short. His face was lined, scarred, and utterly unamused. He wore no ceremonial robes. No insignia of peace. Only a dark civilian jacket with a small, nearly invisible emblem over the heart. Earth. The translation systems hesitated. Then spoke. "My name," the man said calmly, "is President Marcus Hale of the Terran Union." The speaker tilted her head. "We expected an ambassador, not a head of state." Hale's eyes lifted, meeting the collective gaze of the council. "You summoned fear," he replied. "You got me instead." A murmur rippled through the tiers. The speaker clicked. "Then you may speak." Briefly. Hale exhaled slowly. Not nervous. Controlled. "I've reviewed your mandate," he said. "I've read your threat assessments. I've listened to your analysts describe my species as volatile, emotional, incapable of sustained conflict." He smiled. It was not friendly. "You are correct about one thing," Hale continued. "Humans know war. Intimately. We've buried children because of it. Burned cities because of it. Invented new ways to kill each other because the old ones weren't efficient enough." He leaned forward slightly. "That's why we don't fear it." The chamber stirred uneasily. The speaker snapped her mandibles. "Your tone borders on insolence." Hale's voice hardened. "No. This is restraint." He straightened. "You believe our fleets are mobilized because we are afraid of you." His eyes narrowed. "They are mobilized because you miscalculated." A data stream erupted behind him, images flooding the chamber. Human shipyards. Thousands of hulls under construction. Not elegant. Not beautiful. Functional. Brutal. Covered in armor plates and weapon mounts that made several military analysts stiffen. The avian delegate whispered, "Those designs, they're obsolete." Another replied, quieter, "They're cheap." Hale continued, voice rising now, no longer measured. "You think we fear war because we remember it." He slammed a fist against the podium. The sound echoed unnaturally loud. "We fear what comes after." Silence. "We fear the silence after the last shot. The empty chairs. The unanswered messages." He leaned closer to the camera. "But if you force us," If you corner us, sanction us, blockade us, then we will do what humans have always done when extinction is on the table. The data stream shifted. Alien worlds. Council member home systems. Detailed. Annotated. Targeted. Hale's voice dropped to a near growl. We stop being afraid. The speaker recoiled slightly. You threaten the council? Hale's eyes burned. No, he said softly. I'm correcting the record. The hologram cut. The chamber erupted into chaos. And far beyond the gas giant, in the cold dark between stars, human fleets quietly finished loading their weapons. The Council's first strike came with textbook precision. Not a single official casualty among the fleets. Not a single colony obliterated beyond what was strictly acceptable by Council standards. Orbital bombardments, supply depots neutralized, relay stations fried. Civilian casualties were minimal, on paper. The Caraxi believed this would bend humanity. They thought the Terran Union would beg for mercy, fold under pressure. They were wrong. On Callisto Prime, a colony world rich in minerals and poor in atmosphere, the first wave of Caraxi assault troops descended. The sky above the domed cities glowed with plasma lances and ion trails. They expected screaming, panic, retreat. Instead, they were met with silence. Then chaos. Miners, wearing nothing more sophisticated than reinforced drilling suits, activated emergency protocols that transformed industrial machinery into orbital cannons. Old cargo haulers fired their hull-mounted railguns like the precision weapons of veterans. Retired Marines, many with injuries and scars older than their attackers' histories, led teenagers through the math of killing at distance, teaching them exactly where to aim to break joints, disable limbs, not just destroy. The first Caraxi platoon advanced in perfect formation, confident and disciplined. In minutes, the formation was gone. Plasma scorched armor, but it wasn't what killed them. Explosions triggered by rerouted drilling lasers tore the streets apart, and debris became lethal shrapnel. A council commander screamed over comms, disbelief breaking through alien poise. They are civilians! A human voice cut through the static, calm, amused, and deadly. Yeah, it said. So were we last time you tried this. And then the pattern repeated across human systems. Council fleets that held numerical superiority, armed with better technology, and doctrinally trained to annihilate, found themselves caught in improvisational hell. Human ships didn't form lines, they rammed. They didn't retreat. They detonated reactors inside enemy hulls, taking entire dreadnoughts with them. They coordinated not with military protocol, but with the dissonant soundtrack of old human war music, broadcast across open channels, a rhythm for destruction. The Council began to realize something worse than any tactic or strategy. Humans weren't unifying out of patriotism. They weren't rallying to a common flag or ideology. They were fueled by vengeance. Then came the courier. A single human ship, small and unassuming, penetrated the Council's most secure communications network. Not a hack, not a breach, not subterfuge. A message, delivered openly and deliberately, using ancient Council emergency protocols. Every chamber, every command center, every personal neural interface was forced to play the feed. Hale's face appeared again. Older now. Harder. His eyes held the weight of lost nights, burned cities, and broken families. You killed my niece on Callisto Prime, he said. His voice was calm, but it carried a growl beneath the surface. She was 6. She loved stars. No one dared interrupt. You assumed civilian casualties would break us, he continued. You assumed fear would make us bend. The feed shifted to Council core worlds. Not under bombardment. Not under siege. Occupied. Human troops moving through alien streets with precision that was almost surgical. Command structures dismantled within hours. Administrators executed publicly. Strategic infrastructure secured. You never found our black fleets, Hale said, voice low, venomous. You never looked for ships designed not to win battles, but to end wars. Shock spread through the Council. Members had studied Terran strategies, predicted logistics, calculated fleet movements, and still, none had foreseen the method or the scale. The High Speaker's claws twitched. "You threaten the Council?" Hale's eyes burned. "No," he said. "I correct your record. Humanity does not fear war. Humanity fears what comes after. And when cornered, when forced, when stripped to survival, humanity ends wars the way only humanity can." The hologram cut abruptly. Silence filled the chamber like a living thing. Far beyond the gas giant, in the void between stars, human fleets, armored, bristling, calculated, and utterly unrelenting, waited. Every jump corridor mapped. Every logistics chain perfected. Every weapon tested to break the limits of endurance. The Council had believed humans could be bullied, coerced, frightened. They were about to learn how terrifying the truth really was. Panic spread faster than Council fleets could respond. Entire command networks overloaded as humans struck where no one expected, using tactics that violated every doctrine the Council had spent millennia perfecting. Their black fleets weren't faster, they were invisible. Stealth technologies rebuilt from stolen principles, enhanced, and weaponized with human ingenuity. Ships slipped inside defense grids without alert, deployed troops that decapitated command chains, and vanished before counterfire could lock. Council worlds fell, not to fire, but to control. Occupation was precise, brutal, and public. Administrators were executed according to evidence: war crimes, corruption, sabotage. The irony was intentional. Humans made the Council enforce its own laws, documenting everything for every species to see. One captured Caraxi general spat at a human officer, cybernetic eyes gleaming red in the dim light. "You've become monsters," he hissed. The officer's lips curved into a faint, tired smile. "No," she said quietly. "We just stopped pretending we weren't." Meanwhile, the human strategy revealed a second, stranger layer. Aid ships followed the black fleets, medical teams, engineers, food convoys. Civilian populations under occupation were treated, fed, protected. They were not slaves, they were shielded. Former rulers were removed, but ordinary citizens were given the chance to rebuild under new authority. Council citizens began defecting, not out of admiration, but pragmatism. Some joined human forces. Others simply refused to resist. Entire sectors collapsed without a fight, leaving the Council scrambling to defend territories that were already politically fractured. President Hale addressed humanity again via a network broadcast seen in every system under Terran control. His face, weary and lined, looked directly at the galaxy. "We didn't start this war," he said. "But we are ending the lie that humans fear it." The final Council stronghold, the seat of the Speaker herself, prepared for what they believed would be a climactic last stand. They fortified the planet, mobilized fleets, invoked alliances. They waited for annihilation. It never came. Instead, human diplomats arrived. Accompanied by warships that blotted out suns, they stepped onto the Council's throne world unchallenged. The Speaker, claws twitching, screamed in defiance. But the humans did not answer with weapons. They slid a small data chip across the polished obsidian table. Population projections. Supply exhaustion timelines. Battle losses calculated. Every possible countermeasure mapped. "You would destroy us all," the Speaker rasped. Hale shook his head slowly, eyes cold but clear. "No," he said. "We'd rather you live. Remember why you lost." A murmur ran through the chamber. Council delegates, some cowering, some furious, realized the horror. Humanity had rewritten the rules of war. Not by brute force alone, but by relentless, precise, moral calculated retaliation. Hale's final words echoed in the chamber and across countless networks, like a hammer against ancient stone. "Humans don't fear war. We fear what happens when we survive it. And gods help anyone who makes us remember." The galaxy, for the first time in millennia, was forced to reckon not just with human strength, but with human resolve. The war ended not with a grand battle, but with quiet disbelief. Council fleets lay scattered or withdrawn, their core worlds occupied, their armies fractured, their pride shattered. Entire empires recalculated their histories, realizing the error was never in underestimating human strength, but in misunderstanding human will. The Galactic Council dissolved itself within a single cycle. Not destroyed, dismantled from within. Factions blamed each other. Old rivalries flared. Some species retreated to defend home systems, abandoning allies mid-conflict. There was no one left to enforce the old order, and humanity did not replace them. Instead, humans rebuilt the Council smaller, slower, with vetoes, safeguards, and checks that infuriated even the most patient diplomats. President Marcus Hale retired quietly. He returned to Earth not as a conqueror, but as a guardian of history, his gray hair heavier, his shoulders carrying centuries of human blood, sacrifice, and survival. Yet the galaxy would not forget him. Every military mind, every historian, every politician in every species would tell the story. This was the species that refused to bow, refused to negotiate from weakness, and refused to be afraid. Years later, an alien student asked a human historian aboard a mixed-species trade station orbiting a former Council world. "Is it true," the student asked cautiously, "that your people fear war?" The human historian, a veteran of the Black Fleets who had once stormed command centers and rebuilt shattered worlds, smiled faintly. The smile was sad, hard-won, and full of memory. "Yes," he said, voice low, deliberate. "We fear war enough to finish it, to survive it, and to make sure no one else forgets the cost." Trade lanes bustled with human freighters and alien ships sharing the same paths, weapons powered down for now. Planets rebuilt. Markets reopened. The galaxy, tentative and wary, began to breathe again. But beneath that calm was the quiet understanding: humanity did not fear war, because they had lived it, survived it, and learned the only lesson worth remembering. And any species foolish enough to provoke them again would discover that humans do not merely fight. Humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans survive. And when humanity survives, the universe itself remembers. The echoes of that lesson, the Black Fleets, the vengeance calculated, the mercy given selectively, lingered like a storm cloud over every Council species. For humans, it was simple: they had won without annihilation, ruled without domination, and reminded every corner of the galaxy that the deadliest weapon of all was not firepower. It was the resolve to survive, no matter the cost. The stars themselves seemed quieter after that. The galaxy had been corrected. The record had been set straight. And the human voice, calm, iron-bound, and unyielding, would forever echo through the corridors of power. Do not underestimate us. Do not mistake restraint for fear. Do not test survival. Because the universe had learned the hard way: when humans fight, it is never for fear. It is always for survival, and nothing terrifies the cosmos more than that truth.